The moment my grandson covered my mouth and whispered that someone was listening, my whole world split open. I swear, I can still feel the coldness of his small hand pressed against my lips, the tremble in his fingers, the way his breath hitched like every sound could drag a monster out of the dark. I didn't even breathe at first. I just sat there frozen, halfway into my dusty old sedan with the streetlight flickering above us like it was warning me. "Don't say anything, Grandma. Are they listening to us?" he whispered. Liam, my sweet, bright-eyed, 10-year-old grandson, looked nothing like the child I tucked into bed every holiday. His eyes were wild. Too knowing. Too frightened. He looked like someone who had seen the truth behind a locked door. And something in me, something deep and maternal, snapped awake. I slid into the car seat fully, shut the door quietly, and tried to steady my voice. "What are you doing here, baby? You scared me half to death." He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed toward the office building, the shiny glass tower I had spent 30 years building into Vance Industries. A few windows on the upper floors glowed yellow, like watchful eyes peering down at us. My heart thudded in my chest. I followed his line of sight, a sick feeling curling in my stomach. "Grandma," he whispered, "I heard Mom talking in the office. With Miss Jenkins." He swallowed. "They were talking about you." At first I thought I misheard. What did they say about me?" His cold little fingers squeezed my hand. "Mom said that in a few days, you won't have anything. That she'll make you sign something. And then, you'll disappear from the house." It felt like someone kicked me in the chest. Bethany, my daughter-in-law, the woman I once thanked God for bringing into Andrew's life, wanted to erase me. Steal everything I'd built. Throw me out like I was nothing. The betrayal crashed into me so hard my vision blurred. I wanted to storm upstairs, demand answers, scream so loud the whole building shook. But then I looked at Liam, the way his small body curled in on itself, trembling, his eyes darting to shadows as if something could jump out at any moment, and I swallowed the fury. This wasn't about me anymore. My grandson was terrified, and I needed to keep him safe. He tugged on my sleeve again. "Grandma, Mom saw me listening. She told me not to tell anyone. She said if I did, she'd make you go away forever." My breath caught. Bethany threatened him. My heart twisted so hard I thought I might break right there. I whispered, "It's okay. I'm here with you. I won't let anything happen." But even as I said it, I didn't believe myself. My hands were shaking. My mind was spinning. Everything that had felt stable just hours ago was crumbling beneath my feet. Because now, everything made sense. That afternoon's meeting, the sweet smiles, the soft voices, had been a setup. A performance. Bethany had pushed that power of attorney document like it was a minor formality. "Mom, it's just paperwork to help the company run better," she'd said, smiling like butter wouldn't melt. And Sarah, my trusted assistant of nearly 2 decades, sat beside her nodding, avoiding my eyes. That hurt worst of all. Sarah had stood by me during layoffs, lawsuits, expansions. She'd been the one to bring me soup when my husband passed. And now she sat with Bethany, pretending nothing was wrong, helping, whatever this was. Even Mr. Harrison, the lawyer I'd trusted for years, couldn't look me in the eye. His hands trembled when I asked about a clause. He changed the subject so quickly I knew right then that he was scared. Or guilty. Or both. Now everything Liam said twisted those moments into clarity. They weren't helping me retire. They were pushing me out. Maybe even planning worse. My chest tightened with dread. A shadow moved across the parking lot. Heavy steps echoed between the silent cars. Liam gasped and ducked down, pulling me with him. "It's okay," I whispered, though fear stabbed through me like ice. I watched the shadow pass, slow and deliberate, like someone searching. When the silence settled again, Liam whispered, "Grandma, we can't go home. Mom will know I talked. She'll know you know." I stared at him. My brave little boy. 10 years old and already carrying fear no child should ever touch. I turned the ignition with shaking fingers and drove far from the office, far from those windows that watched us like predators. My heart hammered the entire way. My whole life, I'd been the strong one. The provider. The protector. I built a company from nothing and a home from even less. I survived widowhood. I survived years of late nights, betrayals, and battles. But nothing prepared me for this. When we reached a small roadside cafe, lit by one lonely lamp, Liam clung to my hand like it was the last safe thing in his world. Inside, the warm yellow glow made everything feel unreal. Like we were hiding inside someone else's story. I ordered him cocoa. I ordered myself black coffee. Not because I wanted it, but because I needed to stay awake. Alive. Tell me everything, I murmured. And he did. Piece by piece, his trembling voice revealed the truth. Bethany laughing about how easily I'd sign. Sarah agreeing. Talk of me being too tired to resist. A plan to leave me with nothing. Every word sliced deeper. I kept my face calm for Liam, my precious boy who sat stiffly beside me, watching shadows in the window like danger could appear any second, but inside, I was shaking. My whole body hurt with the weight of betrayal. Then the cafe door opened. A man stepped inside. Dark coat. Familiar posture. He spotted us immediately. My breath caught, but then Liam whispered, I know him. He used to protect you. And suddenly I remembered. David Miller. The security guard who had worked for me for years. A quiet man with a steady gaze. For the first time that night, a spark of hope flickered inside me. Mr. Miller, I whispered, please. I need your help. He didn't question. He didn't doubt me. He just nodded. Understood, Mrs. Vance. When we left the cafe, Liam stayed close to me. He looked smaller than ever. I held his cold little hand in mine and silently swore to protect him, even if I had no idea how. But as David drove us through the dark streets, he suddenly slowed. There's a car parked near your house, he muttered. Someone's watching. A chill ran through me so violently I had to hold onto the seat. Don't take us home, I whispered. Please, just drive. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel safe in my own house. And as we disappeared into the night, heading toward the only person I still trusted, one single thought echoed in my mind. Someone is trying to destroy me, and I have no idea how far they're willing to go. And God help me. I'm not sure I'm strong enough for what comes next. I didn't sleep that night. I kept waking up every 20 minutes, drenched in that cold, electric kind of fear that clings to your ribs. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his silhouette again, Mark's face half hidden by the glow of my laptop screen, that strange stillness about him like he was waiting for something. Or listening. Or deciding. By morning, my apartment felt wrong. Too quiet in all the places that used to feel safe. The air felt heavier, like someone had walked through my living room while I was asleep and left their shadow behind. I tried to shake it off. I made coffee. I opened the blinds. I even forced myself to turn on the TV for background noise. But it didn't matter. Something in me already knew that nothing about my life was normal anymore. Around 10 a.m., he texted. Mark, you disappeared so fast yesterday. Did I do something wrong? My stomach twisted. I stared at the screen for a long time, trying to decide if I should lie, be honest, or simply not respond at all. But I typed anyway. I was tired. Long day at work. 5 seconds later, 5 seconds, my phone buzzed again. Mark, you're lying. It felt like someone poured ice water down my spine. I deleted the conversation. I threw my phone onto the couch like it might burn me. For the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't let myself feel with him. Anger. Real, alive, shaking anger. I wasn't his. I wasn't obligated to soothe him, to explain myself, to bleed my emotions out just so he would feel secure. But try telling that to the version of me who still wanted to believe he cared. After pacing around my apartment for half an hour, I finally forced myself to confront the thought circling my mind all night. Was Mark following me? I hated that the question didn't feel absurd. When I got to work, I thought maybe being around people would help. Noise, conversations, keyboards clacking, maybe it would wash his voice out of my head. But around noon, my coworker Lisa slid up to my desk and whispered, Your boyfriend was here earlier. I froze. What? When? She pointed toward the entrance. I saw him standing by the elevators. I waved, but he ignored me. It was weird. You okay? No. God, no. I forced out a smile. Yeah, he probably just dropped by to surprise me. But inside, something cracked. He didn't tell me he came. He didn't text, didn't call, didn't wait for me. He just watched? Or maybe he wanted me to know he could show up without warning. That he knew where I was. That he didn't need permission. For the rest of the day, every time the elevator dinged, I flinched. When I got home, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Not a bad smell, not smoke or chemicals or anything threatening. Just unfamiliar. Like men's cologne. Subtle, but definitely not mine. My heartbeat kicked into a frantic, uneven rhythm. I checked the door. Locked. I walked through the apartment room by room, touching my things, making sure they were exactly where I left them. Nothing was missing. Nothing was moved. But the scent was there, sinking into my skin, into the walls, into my nerves. Then I saw the photo frame. The one on my bookshelf. The picture of me at the lake last summer, laughing so hard my hair was sticking to my cheeks. I loved that picture. I remembered propping it at a slight angle because the frame was chipped. Now it was standing perfectly straight. Centered. Like someone had deliberately touched it. My breathing turned sharp. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. I should call someone. The police? My sister? Anyone. But before I could dial, a notification appeared. Mark, did you get home safe? My knees nearly gave out. He knew I was home. He texted the moment I walked inside. My fingers trembled as I replied. Me? Why did you come to my office today? The typing dots appeared instantly. Then vanished. Then appeared again. Finally, his message arrived. Mark, I miss you. That wasn't an answer. And that was exactly why it terrified me. I didn't sleep the next night either. I stayed awake on the couch with all the lights on, my back pressed against the cushions like a cornered animal. I kept telling myself I was being dramatic, paranoid, emotional. But fear has a way of stripping you down to the truth. There's the version of reality you want. And the version you feel in your bones. Around 3 a.m., I gave up pretending. I opened my laptop and typed. How to know if someone is stalking you. The list that popped up made my stomach knot. Unannounced visits. Monitoring your routine. Unwanted contact. Sudden changes in behavior. Then one line felt like it was glowing. If the person becomes hostile when you pull away. I slammed the laptop shut. I didn't want to read anymore. I didn't want to confirm what I already knew. The next morning, I made a decision. I was going to set boundaries. Real ones. Hard ones. I took a deep breath and typed. Mark, I need some space. Please don't come to my work again. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk. I hit send before I could lose my nerve. 5 minutes passed. 10. 20. Silence. An hour later, I started to feel the smallest bit of relief, like maybe he understood, like maybe the knot inside me could finally loosen. But at 11:14 a.m., his reply arrived. A single sentence. Short. Cold. Mechanical. Mark, you shouldn't have done that. My heart dropped into some dark place inside me. And for the first time since everything began, I felt genuinely unsafe. The kind of unsafe you don't talk yourself out of. The kind of unsafe that whispers, this isn't over. And God help me, I knew that was true. I don't know how long I stared at those 4 words on my phone screen. You shouldn't have done that. They felt like a hand closing slowly around my throat. I kept rereading them, hoping they would change into something harmless, some badly phrased apology or a clumsy attempt at humor. But no. The tone was unmistakable. Cold. Final. Like a warning shot fired into the air before the real danger begins. I set my phone face down, but it didn't matter. The words lived behind my eyelids now. I couldn't stay home. Every corner of the apartment felt contaminated by fear, like the walls themselves were whispering, leave, leave, leave. So I threw on a jacket, grabbed my keys, and went outside, hoping the fresh air would convince my brain to stop spiraling. It didn't. Even the street felt hostile. Every car that slowed near the curb made me flinch. Every man walking behind me felt like he was too close. Every shadow stretched a little too long. I kept checking over my shoulder, but pretending I was just being cautious had stopped working hours ago. I was scared. And this time, I wasn't ashamed to admit it, not even to myself. I ended up at a small coffee shop 2 blocks from my place, mostly because the windows were huge and the space was bright. Light makes it harder for fear to grow. At least that's what I kept telling myself. I ordered tea because I needed something warm to hold on to. My hands were shaking too much to pretend otherwise. The barista probably noticed, but I didn't care. I sat by the window where I could see everyone who came in. It made me feel, not safe exactly, but less trapped. That's when I texted my sister, Claire. I didn't tell her everything. I didn't tell her about the cologne in my apartment or the photo frame, or how Mark seemed to appear in places he had no reason to be. Instead, I typed the softest, safest version of the truth. Me, hey, can we talk later? Just feeling overwhelmed. She replied instantly. Claire, I'm free all day. Want me to come over? I hesitated. If she came, she'd see how messed up I was. She'd ask questions. She'd look at me with that older sister concern that was both comforting and suffocating. And if I told her everything, she'd tell me to call the police. But I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Not when part of me still believed, still hoped, that I was overreacting. So I lied again. Me, maybe later. I just need some air. I set my phone down and wrapped both hands around the cup, letting the heat settle into my palms. For 5 minutes, maybe 10, my breathing actually slowed. Until the bell above the shop door rang. I didn't want to look. I really didn't. But some instinct pulled my gaze up anyway. It wasn't Mark. Just a couple in their 40s, arguing over whether to get pastries. The woman laughed. The man rolled his eyes. They looked perfectly, achingly normal. But the moment I relaxed, my phone buzzed. Mark, where are you? My heartbeat stuttered painfully. I hadn't told him I left my apartment. I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't shared my location. Did he know? Was he close? Was he watching me right now? I didn't reply. I couldn't. My fingers felt numb. He sent another message. Mark, answer me. I shoved the phone into my jacket pocket like silence could protect me. But fear doesn't respect silence. It grows in it. I stayed in that coffee shop until the afternoon sun faded into the soft gold of early evening. When people started heading home from work, when couples filtered in for early dinners, when the world outside the windows looked busy enough to feel safe, I left. I avoided every quiet street. I crossed the road twice when I thought I heard footsteps behind me. I pretended to talk on the phone just to look less vulnerable. But as I neared my apartment building, an icy realization washed over me. If he had been inside once, he could be inside again. I stopped walking. My building stood tall, familiar, and suddenly terrifying. For a moment, I considered turning around, going anywhere else, a hotel, Claire's place, even sleeping in my car. But I didn't want to run from my own home. I didn't want him to take that from me too. So I walked inside. The lobby lights flickered once. They always did. Tonight it made my stomach twist. The elevator doors were half open, like someone had held them and only let go when they heard me coming. But no one was there. When I reached my floor, everything looked normal. Monotone carpet. Dead quiet hallway. The faint hum of air circulation. But as I approached my door, I saw it. A small folded note wedged neatly under the doormat. It had my name on it. Not printed. Not typed. Written in his handwriting. My mouth went dry. My hands shook violently as I picked it up. The paper felt too light, too soft, like something alive that might move if I held it wrong. I unfolded it slowly. Only one line was written inside. I just want to understand you. A chill crawled down my spine like icy fingertips. Because that sentence wasn't loving. It wasn't caring. It wasn't even logical. It was an obsession. A fixation. A warning disguised as vulnerability. I stumbled into my apartment, locked the door twice, and slid down to the floor with the note still clenched in my fist. My phone buzzed again. This time, I didn't need to look. I knew it was him. I pressed my palms to my eyes and tried to steady my breathing, but it was useless. My pulse was hammering, my nerves were on fire. I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep explaining away the signs. I couldn't keep hoping he'd stop on his own. Because he wouldn't. People like him never did. I knew what I had to do. I picked up my phone, hesitated only for a second, and whispered out loud, maybe to convince myself. Enough. My finger hovered over the contact list. I wasn't calling Mark. I wasn't calling Claire. I was calling someone I should have called days ago. But before I could dial, my phone lit up with a final message. A message that froze every thought in my mind. Mark, I'm worried about you. I think we should talk tonight. The word tonight felt like a match dropped onto gasoline. Because it meant one thing. He wasn't planning to wait. And I suddenly wasn't sure if I could stop him. I don't remember unlocking my phone. I don't remember standing up. All I remember is the rush of blood in my ears, the way the room tilted, and how that single word, tonight, echoed inside me like a countdown I didn't ask for. I should have called the police right then. But fear doesn't make you logical. Fear makes you small. Instead, I stumbled into the bathroom, gripped the edge of the sink, and stared at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked like a stranger, eyes too wide, skin too pale, shoulders tight with dread. I barely recognized the woman staring back. Get it together, I whispered. But my voice sounded hollow, like the words didn't belong to me anymore. I splashed cold water on my face. It didn't help. Nothing helped. My mind kept replaying the same horrifying what if. What if he was already on his way? I forced myself to think. Not panic. Think. I needed a plan. Not just fear and instincts, I needed something real. I dried my hands, grabbed my phone, and dialed the only person who might understand without judgment. Detective Harris. I hadn't spoken to him in almost 2 years, not since the night I'd given a statement for a case I'd just happened to witness. He told me, half joking, half serious, if you ever feel unsafe again, call me. No matter how small it seems. Back then, I thought I'd never need that kind of promise. Now, I prayed he'd meant it. He picked up on the third ring. This is Harris. I didn't know where to start. My voice shook as I said, It's Emily Reed. I don't know if you remember me. I remember. His tone sharpened instantly. What's going on? The moment he asked, the words spilled out of me. Not all of them, just enough. The visits. The messages. The note. His behavior. My fear. My voice kept breaking, but Harris stayed steady. When I finally stopped talking, the silence on the other end made my stomach twist. Then he said, You're not imagining this. You need to take this seriously. That was the thing I wasn't ready to hear. Hearing it out loud made everything too real. Emily, he continued, you need to leave your apartment. Now. My heart dropped. Leave? But. Right now. Pack a bag. Go somewhere public. I'll meet you there. I pressed my hand to my forehead. He said he wants to talk tonight. And that's exactly why you need to go. If he feels rejected or threatened, things could escalate. My knees felt weak. Where should I go? Do you still live near the Main Street station? I nodded even though he couldn't see me. Yes. Go to the cafe across from it. Don't wait. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I closed my eyes. Okay. And Emily? His voice lowered gently. Don't open your door for anyone. I swallowed hard. I won't. I hung up, grabbed a backpack, and shoved inside the most random assortment of things: wallet, charger, sweater, toothbrush, keys, notebook, because thinking clearly was impossible. Then I stopped at my front door. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. I unlatched the chain, turned the deadbolt, gripped the knob with shaking hands. When I opened the door, the hallway looked normal. Too normal. But as I stepped out and locked up, a strange feeling crawled over my skin, like I was being watched. Not seen. Watched. I forced myself to walk to the elevators. I pushed the button. And that's when I heard it. A distant, slow, deliberate sound coming from the stairwell at the far end of the hallway. Footsteps. Steady. Unhurried. Coming up. Coming closer. My stomach flipped. My breath caught. I didn't wait for the elevator. I ran. I sprinted down the hallway, rounded the corner, and practically flew down the opposite stairwell. I didn't look back, I couldn't. The echo of footsteps behind me felt like a nightmare breathing down my neck. My lungs burned. My chest tightened. But I didn't stop running until I burst through the building's back exit and into the cold evening air. Only then did I look over my shoulder. The door remained shut. No one followed. But that didn't calm me. If anything, it made it worse. Because if he was behind me, why didn't he come out? Where did he go? The walk to the cafe felt like navigating a minefield. Every car that passed made me jump. Every face felt suspicious. Every shadow felt like him. By the time the cafe's neon sign came into view, I felt half delirious with adrenaline. Inside, the place was warm and bright, tiny tables, soft music, baristas chatting. It felt safe in the way a lifeboat feels safe only when you're surrounded by deep water. I picked a seat in the corner with my back against the wall, facing the door like Harris told me to. 10 minutes later, he walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, kind eyes that were sharper than they looked. I stood so fast my chair scraped the floor. He held up a hand. Sit. You're okay now. The reassurance almost broke me. He sat across from me, leaning forward. Start from the beginning, he said softly. Everything you didn't say on the phone. So I told him. Everything. The visits. The messages. The cologne in my apartment. The note. The tone of Mark's texts. The way he made me feel, watched, tracked, owned. Harris didn't interrupt, but his jaw tightened more with every detail. When I finished, he exhaled slowly. This is escalating, he said. Fast. My throat tightened. So what do I do? We'll file a report, he said. And you're not going back to your apartment tonight. I nodded shakily. Okay. He studied me for a moment. Emily, has he ever shown signs of anger or violence before this? I hesitated. Memories flickered. The controlling comments. The jealousy. The way his kindness felt like a performance. A mask that sometimes slipped. Yes, I whispered. A few times. Harris nodded grimly. Then this is not going to stop on its own. I swallowed hard. What if he comes to my apartment and I'm not there? That's what I'm worried about, he admitted. People like him don't like losing control. My chest tightened with dread. Then he leaned closer. I need you to tell me something. Have you ever given him a spare key? No, I said. Never. Has he ever been alone in your apartment with your permission? I opened my mouth to say no. But then I froze. One memory surfaced, so vivid I felt sick. Oh my God. Harris straightened. What? There was one time, I whispered. Months ago. He picked up my cat from my place when I was out of town. I forgot I gave him the code to the lockbox. Harris's expression darkened. Did you change the code after that? I shook my head slowly. He exhaled, and for the first time, I saw real concern in his eyes. Emily, he said quietly, he still has access to your apartment. A cold wave washed over me. I felt it down to my bones. And then, as if to confirm my worst fear, my phone buzzed. I looked down. A new message from Mark. 6 words. 6 words that made my blood run cold. Mark, why did you run from me? My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. Because there was only one way he could know. He had been there. He'd seen me. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I just stared at the screen, the glow of Mark's message burning into my eyes like a threat delivered straight to my pulse. Why did you run from me? My hands went numb. My throat tightened. The cafe around me blurred into meaningless colors and sounds. All I could feel was Harris's gaze, sharp and steady across the table. Emily, he said quietly, show me. I turned the phone toward him. His jaw clenched the instant he read the message. This confirms it, he said. He was in your hallway. He saw you leave. He was close enough to watch you run. My stomach twisted. But how did he know I left through the back exit? I didn't hear anyone behind me. Because he wasn't chasing you, Harris said. He was watching you. Those words hit so hard I felt dizzy. I don't want to scare you, he added gently, but I need you to understand this. He's not acting on impulse anymore. He's planning. That's what makes this dangerous. Dangerous. The word echoed through me like a bell tolling. I swallowed hard, gripping my phone like it could save me. What do I do now? I whispered. You stay with me, Harris said firmly. We're going to the station. I'll help you file an emergency protective order. And tonight, you're not staying alone. For the first time in days, the tightness in my chest loosened a little, not much, but enough to breathe. "Okay," I said. "Thank you." But even as I said it, I could feel it, this wasn't over. Something inside me knew we were only stepping into the next layer of hell. When we stepped outside, the night air slapped me across the face, cold, sharp, too quiet. Harris kept a protective distance behind me, watching the street, the rooftops, the shadows. I followed him to an unmarked SUV parked by the curb. "Get in," he said, scanning the area again. I did. But the moment I closed the car door, another message buzzed on my phone. My heart lurched. Harris held out his hand. "Give it." I didn't argue. I placed the phone in his palm. He read the message slowly, his expression turning grim. "Mark, I saw you with him." A cold shock ripped through my body. "He knows about you," I whispered. Harris's voice dropped. "He's watching right now." "That means he followed you to the cafe." My breath hitched. "Where is he?" Harris scanned the mirrors, the street, the buildings. "He wants you to know he's watching," he said. "That's the point. That's how they maintain control fear." I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to keep from shaking. "What if he comes here?" "He won't," Harris said. "Not while I'm with you." I wished I believed that as easily as he said it. He started the engine and pulled away from the curb, keeping one eye on the rearview mirror. Every pair of headlights behind us felt threatening. Every passing car looked like marks. I pressed my forehead to the cool window, watching the city smear into streaks of light. "What if he goes to my apartment again?" I whispered. "We'll have officers there tonight," Harris said. "You won't be going back until he's legally barred from coming near you." I nodded, but my heart didn't settle. It couldn't. Because deep down, I knew Mark didn't care about rules. He cared about me. And not in the way someone is supposed to. The police station was bright and cold, buzzing with nighttime activity. Officers moving quickly, phones ringing, doors opening and closing. Everything felt too loud and too fast, like my senses were being stretched thin. Harris guided me to a small interview room. "I'm going to get the paperwork," he said. "Stay here. I'll be right back." The moment he left, the silence wrapped around me like a straitjacket. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, sharp, relentless. I tried to focus on breathing, counting each inhale, but my mind wouldn't slow down. What if he was outside? What if he followed us here too? What if he was watching the building right now? A loud bang in the hallway made me jump so hard I nearly fell out of my chair. I pressed my hand against my chest. "Get a grip," I whispered. "You're safe." But safety felt like a word meant for other people. Not me. Not anymore. After what felt like forever, Harris returned with a folder thick with forms. "We'll get through these together," he said. And we did. I wrote down everything. Every detail. Every fear. Every message. Every moment that made my skin crawl. By the time we finished, my handwriting was barely legible, my hands shaking so hard I had to steady them on the table. Harris looked at me, eyes softer now. "You did the right thing," he said. I nodded, but my throat felt tight. "Where am I staying tonight?" I asked. "With someone you trust," he said. "A friend. Family. Not alone. If you have nowhere, I can arrange a safe house." "Claire." "She would freak out. But she would protect me." "I'll call my sister," I said quietly. Harris nodded. "Good." But as I reached for my phone, something inside me shifted, an instinct, a dread I couldn't explain. My phone lit up on its own. One new notification appeared at the top of the screen. An app one didn't recognize. A name I'd never downloaded. Something called Locator Plus with a red blinking dot. The notification said, "Tracking active. Device location accessed." My heart slammed against my ribs. "What is that?" Harris said, leaning closer. I don't know," I whispered. "I didn't download this." He grabbed the phone from my hand, his face going stone cold. "He's been tracking your phone." My stomach dropped. "For how long?" "Long enough," Harris said. "This changes everything." His voice was low, urgent, decisive. "We need to get you out of here. Now." Seconds later, we were moving again, out of the room, down the hall, past the front desk. Harris kept a hand on my back, guiding me quickly. But when we stepped outside into the night air, I felt it. A presence. A pressure. Like eyes pressing into my skin. I scanned the street, my pulse pounding. And then I saw it. Across the road, half hidden by the glow of a street lamp, stood a car I recognized. Mark's car. The black sedan. The dent on the bumper. The cracked headlight. It was idling. Engine rumbling. Waiting. My breath caught. No, I whispered. No, 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 he's here. Harris followed my gaze. His whole body tensed. Stay behind me, he said. But I wasn't listening anymore. Because in that moment, as the driver's side window rolled down, I saw him. Mark. His face lit by the dashboard. Expression blank. Eyes fixed on me with a calmness that terrified me more than any anger ever could. Then he smiled. Slowly. Deliberately. And lifted his phone. A single message appeared on my screen. Mark, I just want to talk, Emily. Don't make me come closer. My knees nearly buckled. Because his car wasn't parked. It was inching forward. Toward me. And I knew, with a bone-deep certainty, that tonight was far from over. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to my own breath as if it belonged to someone else. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that message again. It wasn't your fault. I'm ready to tell you everything. Jake's words looped in my head like some broken tape I couldn't eject. By morning, my room felt too small to hold me. The air was heavy. My chest kept tightening like someone was slowly pulling a belt around my ribs. I got up, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at myself in the mirror. I didn't look scared. I didn't look angry. I didn't even look like me. I looked like someone who'd been running for too long and suddenly realized the ground beneath her was giving out. I kept asking myself the same question, do I really want to know? But that was a lie. I already knew the answer. I'd wanted to know for years. And now the truth was reaching for me with both hands. At 9:07 a.m., he texted again. Jake, I'll be at the old bridge at noon. Please come. The old bridge. The one nobody used anymore. The one where we used to hide when we were kids because the adults couldn't see us through the trees. The one where everything seemed like a secret. I stared at the message for a long time. My thumb hovered over the screen like it was afraid to touch anything. Then I grabbed my jacket, stepped outside, and started walking. I didn't trust myself to think too much. Thinking always made me run in circles. Walking at least kept me moving forward. The closer I got to the woods, the more the memories came back, soft at first, like whispers, then sharper, like glass. Jake and I climbing the fence. Jake daring me to jump into the creek. Jake holding my hand when I got scared. Jake promising he'd always protect me. A promise he couldn't keep. By the time I reached the edge of the trees, my hands were shaking. I stuffed them into my pockets and kept going. The bridge appeared through the branches like something pulled out of a lost photograph. Faded wood. Rusted bolts. The creek below moving slow and tired. He was already there. Jake stood with his back to me, leaning on the railing. His shoulders rose when he breathed deep, heavy breaths like he'd rehearsed what he was about to say, but still wasn't ready to say it. Jake, I said. He turned. And for a moment, all the anger, all the hurt, all the confusion, they didn't matter. He looked like someone who'd been breaking for a long time and didn't know how to admit it. You came, he said quietly. I said I would. He nodded, but he didn't come closer. He just looked at me with these eyes that carried every moment we'd ever shared, every version of who we used to be. I'm sorry, he said. For what? My voice cracked more than I wanted it to. For disappearing? For leaving? For trying to act like none of it happened. For all of it, he whispered. There was a long pause. The wind moved through the trees like it was listening. Then he said, I saw something that night. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? He swallowed hard. The night everything went wrong. The night you've been blaming yourself for. I saw what happened before you got there. I felt my pulse in my ears. Jake, what are you talking about? You didn't cause anything, he said. You walked in on something that was already falling apart. My breath caught. Then why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell me? He looked away. His jaw tightened like the truth hurt to hold inside. Because I thought it would make things worse. Because I thought if you knew, You'd blame yourself anyway. And because. His voice broke. Because I was scared. Scared of what? That if I told you everything, you'd hate me for not stopping it. The air around us felt suddenly colder. I stepped closer, not trusting my legs, but moving anyway. What did you see, Jake? He stared at the water below the bridge for so long I almost thought he wouldn't say anything. Then, I saw him push you. My heart stopped. The world went quiet. For a moment I wasn't standing on the bridge anymore. I was back there, in that room, in that memory, in that moment I had spent years trying to rewrite. Who? I whispered, even though some part of me already knew. Jake finally met my eyes. You know who? The breath left my lungs so fast it hurt. I held the railing because my knees felt suddenly weak. All those years I thought I had slipped. That I had been careless. That everything that followed was because of me. But it hadn't been my fault. It had never been my fault. And hearing it, actually hearing someone say it, felt like the floor beneath me cracked open. Why didn't you tell me? I choked out. He looked tortured. Because he threatened you. And I thought if I stayed away, he'd stay away too. My eyes burned. Jake, you should have told me. I know. His voice shook. God, I know. I thought I was protecting you, but I was just running. From him. From myself. From you. The truth hung between us like the ghost of every year we'd lost. I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or just collapse under the weight of it all. My chest felt too full, like my ribs couldn't contain the emotions crawling up from places I hadn't touched in years. So, what do we do now? I asked, barely above a whisper. Jake stepped closer, slowly, carefully, as if afraid I'd vanish. We start with the truth, he said. All of it. I'll tell you everything I saw. Everything I know. I should have done it years ago, but I'm doing it now. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the boy I once trusted. At the man standing in front of me, broken but finally ready to face the wreckage with me. And for the first time in a long time, something inside me shifted, not healed, not fixed, but opened. Before I could answer, a branch snapped behind us. We both froze. I turned slowly toward the tree line. There was someone there. A shadow. A figure just far enough that I couldn't make out a face, but close enough that I felt their eyes on us. Jake stepped in front of me instinctively. Stay behind me, he whispered. My breath trembled. The figure didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched. And that's when I knew. This wasn't over. Not even close.